man. Detroit Pistons got some measuring stick games coming up, and obviously Jalen Duren is going to miss one more game. I think that after the All-Star break, I think that's going to be versus the New York Knickerbockers, and then they go into San Antonio, Oklahoma City Thunder, which those will be 4 games plus the Raptor games. Isaiah Stewart and missing, he will miss an additional 3 more. So the second half of the season for the Pistons started to heat up a little bit. Some big names started to come through. And with 97 won the ticket, and some other people, it seemed to be an obsession with the Western Conference, which I don't get the obsession. San Antonio is rising. Oklahoma City Thunder, we get what they are. They trying to defend, which they probably will defend. And other than that, does Houston really scare you like that? No. The Nuggets really scare you like that? They're a good basketball team, but really no. The Timberwolves, I feel like they got worse after the trade. No. The Lakers, no. The Suns, no. The Clippers, no. So really, when you start talking about teams that you might just be like, man, that's the one. Oklahoma City Thunder and San Antonio. Those are the teams that you like, okay, how do we match up with them? That's the teams you say, how do we match up with? Those are the 2 teams. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Denver is experienced, but, missing Cam Thomas and not Cam Thomas, but the kid we wanted, Cam Johnson, and them kind of going through a transition, a lot of mileage. The Lakers, they could be dangerous with Luka, and LeBron turning on and off, but nobody really scared of them. The Rockets, they don't really have a point guard, and they trying to still figure it out. A lot of developing things going there. I think if they could find a point guard down the stretch, Minnesota, you love when we play them down the stretch. It's like, it just seemed like something missing in Minnesota to keep it a bean. And then other than that, Phoenix, it's a clusterfuck in the West right now. It's a 4-game in the loss column from the 8th seed, the Warriors. A 3-game. I'm looking at it wrong. It's a 6-game difference in the loss column from the 8th seed Warriors to the 4th seed Rockets. There's 3 games between Houston and Phoenix. There's only 1 game from Phoenix being the 7th seed to Minnesota being the 6th seed. Lakers at 21 losses, so it's only 1 game between them and Minnesota, and it's only 1 game between the Lakers and the Rockets for that 4th seed. And then you go, the only reason the Nuggets is above the Rockets is because they played 2 more games and they won it. They got the same amount of losses. And then when you dig deeper, there's only 4 games in the loss column from the Rockets and Nuggets from the Spurs. The injury can change that. It's only 5 games from the Lakers being the 5th seed to the 2nd seed. And there's only 2 games between San Antonio and Oklahoma City Thunder in the 2nd and the 1 seed. So, yeah, when you start to really kind of, dig into all of that, man, it's like, man, it's not this gap of parity. There's really not a big parity gap there. And right now we seen there's a huge gap between 1 and 5 with the Pistons and the Raptors. We seen that the night. It's a gap. Cleveland, we still gonna see they came back up. That wasn't hard to do. Orlando's only 3 games above 500. The Heat lost to a team that was tanking the other night in Utah. They 29-27. 1 game they played 2 games in the loss column. The Hornets in the 9th seed behind them. Right now Philadelphia, they just think Joel is gonna ramp it up for a playoff. He's done. Joel Embiid is done. They're 30-24. So right now it's just the East isn't weak. To be honest with you, the East isn't weak. But what you're getting is and it's only 1 game now between the Knicks and the Cavaliers. 2 games between the Cavaliers and the Celtics. So, what you're getting is just good competitive basketball. Good competitive basketball. And you see, what the Pistons got coming up. I missed Chicago in there. I didn't know they was in there. So we got them and the Knicks February 19th after the break in Madison Square Garden on the Thursday. That'll be a good one. They come back and play the Bull, and so they're on the road, New York. Then they play Chicago. Then they come back home Monday, February 23rd, play San Antonio. 2 games later, they at home. They play the Thunder. Those would be huge games. Then the third game, they play Cleveland at home. So, and then the fourth game, they at Orlando. Then they at Cleveland. Then they at San Antonio. So the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you will get Stu back at the March 3rd versus Cleveland, 6, 7. The next 8 games was brutal for them. The next 8, really the 9 if you include Toronto, other than Chicago, the next 8 games is pretty brutal for them. All teams that they could see in the playoffs at some point. But then, after that, you got Brooklyn coming on the 7th. No Diddy. You got them going down to Miami, going back to Brooklyn on the 10th. You got the 76ers coming to town March 12th. March 13th, you got Ja and the Grizzlies coming. You got the Raptors going back to Toronto. Wizards that played them pretty hard. The Warriors coming March 20th. So the Lakers coming March 23rd. The Atlanta Hawks, coming March 25th. The Pelicans coming the 26th. So, yeah, they got an interesting February and March, man. Very, very interesting, man. So, really now the measuring stick coming up. It really, in those games leading up to that Cleveland game, March 3rd in Cleveland, we're going to see what they can do. One more game without Jalen Duren in the middle of that defense. And then we see what they can do after that. So, I think, the thing is going to be going down that playoff stretch. The real thing is going to be, is can they start to generate some rhythm for Kevin Huerter and Karis LeVert? And they can do that, and both of them can get in the rhythm. They're probably going to waltz and stay healthy. They're going to waltz to the finals. They're going to run to the finals. Honestly, they're going to run there. They're gonna run to the finals if that happens. But if they can't find a rhythm from those two, then they probably not gonna make it. They need those guys and they need the health. So if LeVert can find his footing, or Huerter can find his shot. Huerter got a rhythm. You know what I'm saying? He can defend well. He can put the ball on the floor. He just got to find his shot. And if he can find that shot, it's going to be interesting if he can find that shot. So, but yeah, it's the measuring stick time. We got, a lot of, good teams coming in. It's a good time to get some Piston tickets and see the Pistons play from end of February to March. So we'll see what happens. But hey, thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications. Increase your chance to get notifications. We go live and drop video. Hit the link tree. It's the first link in the description. You can find me everywhere there. Peace.